Welcome to Jay and Laura TV. We are Jay and Laura LaFoon, here to answer your questions on marriage and relationships. And today we have a very, very serious question that really deserves to be answered. How do you keep a marriage strong after a traumatic loss of a family member? This is huge.
This is huge, and you know what? We have not experienced this personally, so what we are going to share with you are some things we've seen some very dear friends of ours do in the loss of their son. And the one thing that I have heard her say over and over again is that they handled the death differently. Husband and wife handled it very differently.
Surprise.
And what we've seen in other couples is, and here's what you need to understand, for most families, or in this particular family, he went back to work. He had something to distract himself. He went back to work and he could immerse himself in work, because men can get in that box, that work box, and he didn't have to think about it, where she thought about their son all day long. And so she went and got herself some counseling, somebody to talk to, somebody that she could vent her frustration, her anger, her guilt, all of those feelings that came up as a result of the death of their son.
So get
really,
some counseling.
Get yourself some counseling.
And sometimes it might be for both of them.
Right, it could be for both of them. Both of you may need it. Understand that you're going to handle the death differently. You're going to do things differently. You're going to process the grief differently, and giving each other permission to do that. Also, do things to keep the memory alive. You know, it's great. Our friend, he loved the color red. Every year in our community, and he loved Transformers. Our local
Toys for Tots.
Toys for Tots does a Toys for Tot thing in his memory where kids. So that keeps his memory alive. She's always looking for heart shapes. You know, she sees heart shapes, everything. It's a different one every day. But keep that memory alive. But at the same time, realize that you have to move forward. But do, whatever it is that can help keep the memory alive. But at the same time, moving forward. And that's where the counseling will really help. I would also say, remember that you have to stay a team. You have to handle this together as a team. I think what happens is realizing that you're going to handle the grief differently, when you start moving away from each other rather than handling the grief differently, but coming back together and processing that grief together is huge in staying a team. And also put yourself in a group of people who are going to support you and love you and care for you.
And here's one thing I want you to keep in mind, okay? We've got great friends, Greg and Sharon Dosman, been friends for decades. And one of the first memories that we had as friends was they lost a child. They lost a child in childbirth. And it was traumatic. We felt so sorry for them. But in talking with them recently about this very situation, Sharon said, God has been able to use that situation to allow me to counsel many, many women who have lost children. So yes, it's traumatic. Yes, it's a terrible thing. But God can and will use it for His glory. And our friends, Steve and Wendy, have done the same thing. They've used this situation, tragic as it is, for God's glory. So there is hope and there is a future. Keep moving ahead. Hey, send us your questions. We love to get your questions on Facebook, via email, and we will answer your questions about marriage and relationships. Why? Because we're Jay and Laura LaFoon, and that's what we do.